I'm thinking of doing a mindfulness practice that hopefully ties in a lot of the things that we've been exploring together today. And I'm thinking of a particular acronym. You may have heard of RAIN, RAIN. I'll just walk us through that acronym because I think it can be really helpful with this particular emotion. So the R stands for recognize, as we've been talking about, this ability to kind of name or notice that we're getting some sort of arousal within us, whether it's irritability, anger, all the way to rage, and be able to recognize that something's happening. That's the R. The A then is to allow it, is to acknowledge that it's happening and create some space for us to have the emotion, rather than usually what we'll do is either suppress it, deny it, or just kind of somehow project it out there. And then the I is exactly what we've been discussing, is to get curious and investigate. So I is to investigate with some curiosity about, okay, what are some of the other underlying emotions? What's going on in my body? What are the unmet needs that I'm actually experiencing that are leading to some of this emotion? And then the N is much like we've been describing again around compassion, but it's about nurturing or nourishing the unmet need. And so what I'm hoping we can do right now is to basically do a little RAIN exercise together. And as we've been doing for the last few weeks, it's always nice to take a few moments to relax our systems a little bit. That's a great way to tell our body right now there's actually nothing to worry about, nothing to do other than to simply be here. So you might maybe just take a few deeper breaths into your belly. Or if you notice you need a bit of water or tea, taking a sip. And you could let yourself maybe find your feet on the floor and feel the contact of the ground below you. So feel the support of the earth. And as you're doing that, you might even give yourself permission to settle any of your muscles right now that might have gotten into defense mode. So if there's a way just to soften your shoulders or your jaw or your fists, just giving yourself a moment to let the system relax for a moment. And then maybe, if you don't mind, just letting yourself bring to mind something that has been an irritation or a source of frustration. And maybe not choosing something that takes you right into rage, so that's hard to work with, as we've been discussing, but something that's kind of maybe lower down from that spectrum. So it could be something you're seeing in other people, behaviors, whether that's somebody you know or somebody you live with. Or it could be something within yourself or that you work with. And just letting that situation come into your mind. And maybe just being curious now as you allow this to be here. So we're recognizing an event or a situation, and we're allowing it to be here for a moment so that we can explore it and investigate. So maybe just notice, what is the impact on your body as you're reflecting on this. Maybe you'll notice some areas where you start to tighten, or your heart rate changes, or your breathing changes. You might even notice if your body starts to stiffen or get ready to act in some way. You might even notice if your thought patterns change. So kind of seeing if you could create a space where no matter what's coming up, you can just be curious without needing to judge your experience or analyze it or fix it, but just really creating a field of awareness. And then we're going to do exactly what we talked about earlier, where we're going to be curious about any other emotions that might be here around the situation. So maybe there's a sense of fear, or some anxiety, or being hurt or sense of loss. Maybe a sense of fatigue, overwhelm. There may be even a sense of guilt or shame that shows up. So there's really no end to the different possible emotions that could be here. And for now, we're just investigating what's true, each of us being unique, noticing what's true for you. And these emotions that we might touch upon are actually wonderful links to what we value most. So as we touch into these emotions, they in fact might help us notice what's an unmet need, what right now has been under threat. So maybe you notice, there's some fear, and what I need is a bit more safety or security. Or if there's a sense of grief, maybe what you're needing is more care, more reassurance. More connection. Or if you're noticing exhaustion, maybe there's a sense of actually needing some rest, needing some downtime. And so the end part of the RAIN exercise is just to take all that you've noticed, and in particular as you feel into whatever unmet needs are here that in some ways our irritability is pointing a finger at. How might you nourish yourself? Or how might we even nourish this need? And so for some of us, it might just be putting a hand on our heart if we notice, wow, we just need a physical touch. Or we might kind of have a sense of an embrace for ourselves. Or even something you might say that's reassuring. Or it might mean that you need to have a conversation with somebody that would actually nourish you. So each of us are going to have something entirely unique, some creative way to meet the moment. So just trusting yourself to make contact with these possibilities. Seeing if whatever you come up with has a sense of compassion for yourself or others that perhaps allows us to move forward in a way that feels good.